I'm not entirely too sure how to start these things, so I'm just going to jump right into it. Do you want to see me make this Bulbasuar? Now, there's a couple things I'd like to note about this video. One, the most obvious, when I recorded it, I didn't intend for it to be a YouTube video. I was actually recording it for my social media pages. So everything's going to be vertical. I recorded it on my phone. Obviously, going back, wish I would have recorded it horizontal, but it is what it is. The second thing, again, meant for it to be on my social media. So there's a few steps that I missed recording. I got a lot of the steps, a lot of the major steps, but there's a few that I skipped over that I'll talk about in the video. And yeah, he's a big guy. He's over 40 pieces, 200 hours of just printing. I did it on 1P. I've since got a second one, so it took me about, I want to say, a little over 2 weeks, maybe almost 3 weeks to print him. But yeah, he's a big hefty boy. So watch this video and see how I did it. So a lot of this is going to be time-lapse for the sake of, well, time. A lot of it, this takes me a long time to do these, so it's going to be a lot of repetitive footage. But the first step after it's all glued together is you burn it with the wood burner. You burn those seams shut. Now, it's obviously important whenever you're working with a wood burner. It is hot. I only say this because I have burnt myself a lot with them. But yeah, you're just gonna, whenever I do it, I crank it to almost the hottest setting, but not quite, just enough to kind of melt the plastic, but not really burn through it. And any spots that I can't burn shut with the wood burner that aren't perfectly seamed together, I use a little extra PLA to kind of close that gap. Now, it is important whenever you are going to be doing this step that you think about the future steps, obviously, but here I demonstrate how it's hollow, so that's a lot nicer. But it's important that, on this model particularly, whenever I was going to put the face on, I realized that I was going to have a lot harder time to mud up the seams that's inside of his mouth with the face portion on. So I went ahead and mudded those up and kind of sand them smooth a little bit before I put the face on, just to help myself out in the future. All these models, or a lot of my Pokemon models, I get from Pokeprintsclub just because they are a lot easier and they make the whole job a lot simpler. All the models have pegs, so that way it all just lines up and clicks together. So that part, the lining and all that, makes it so much simpler. You can see right here, putting the top of the bulb on, just slide it right into place and click. You can see right here what I was talking about with the jaw, how it's gonna be a lot easier. But here goes the face, just clips right on there, and boom. He is one big boy. Here it is all welded up, ready to be mudded. The next step before I mud it is I usually go over those seams with 120 by hand. Any kind of really jagged seam that I had a hard time shutting, I'll use an orbital sander or a DA to smooth them with 120, but try not to stay in one spot too long because it'll get too hot and it'll warp the plastic and make a real big mess. Here he is all mudded. I use Bondo. Bondo putty, you can get it on Amazon for like $15 a tube, I think. After that, I take it to work, orbital sand all of it. The seams I try to sand by hand just so I can make sure that they stay smooth and I'm not shaking all that mud out of there. But I use 220 grit before primer, and that is one step I forgot to record, is myself priming it. But here it is primed afterwards. And after I prime it, 3 coats of primer, I sand it with 400 grit and then 600 grit to make sure it's smooth, using spot putty to fill any more spots that I might have missed. Here he is all sanded and primed. You can see in the cracks and crevices he needs a little more scuffing. This was when I called it a night and said I was going to come back in the morning and finish it up. Now with a print this big, usually I try to keep him in one spot, but I had to lay him on his side so I could paint his stomach, and then afterwards went through and just hand sanded the spots where the paint had kind of rusted. You can't really see through the hazy glass, but here I am clearing it, and that was my friend John. Here it is after it's been painted, or after it's been cleared, one thing I forgot to record is me airbrushing the little spots like I'm doing here. I just went in with the airbrush and just outlined them very slowly, made sure to fill them in. And here I am doing the mouth. I didn't record myself do the bulb either, but I just HVLP'd the dark forest green over the bulb. The reason I'm airbrushing the mouth and not doing a big spray gun, one, the big spray gun tends to do a lot of overspray, and I didn't want to get overspray all over that nice, really that nice green bulb, because I like the way it looked. And two, it's a lot easier to get an airbrush in the back of the mouth than it was an HVLP gun. Those things are kind of a little more bulky and would have had a harder time closing that gap. Here's me doing a tooth. Just being real patient, light little coats, tight patterns, trying not to get too much overspray out of the rest of the mouth. I apologize, here's the same video again. I meant to show the video of him afterwards. But afterwards, after it's all painted and all that, I take them home, airbrush the eyes and the nails, and then I use UV resin over the eyes to give them that nice glossy finish to make them look wet. But here he is, all finished in his big 2'4" glory. He weighs about, I think about 28 pounds. Him being hollow really helps out. And I use 3% infill with 3 walls to make sure that the outer surface is good to sand and not going to burn through it, but it's not super dense and heavy. So yeah, that's how I did it. Those are all my steps. He is my biggest print to date. If I had to guess, I would say somewhere in the ballpark of 50 labor hours, maybe 55. That's kind of being generous, honestly. I don't keep track, I just make them. But yeah, he is, like I said, the biggest one I've done so far, but that's going to change in the very near future. So hopefully I'll have an update on that soon. But I plan on recording a lot more videos here soon. I have videos of a couple helmets I've done, and I'm not a video editor, so it takes me a long time to do them. I'm trying to hold myself a little more accountable, but as far as I have several helmets coming, and as far as Pokemon go, I'm making a Squirtle for somebody right now, so I'll be able to take a lot more in-depth videos of those as I go, a lot more process videos and stuff like that. So hopefully it'll be a little bit nicer on the Squirtle that I do next. But yeah, thank you so much for stopping by and watching the video. I hope you liked it. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. Yeah, thank you.